What's up, guys? Episode number 3 from my 6 video series about a basic description regarding classes of Wildstar is here, and we're gonna be talking about the engineer in this one. Um, for the engineer, it can fulfill two roles. One of them is a ranged DPS, the other one is a ranged tank. That sounds cool. I was also intrigued about the engineer when I first joined the game. Eventually decided against it, but if you like a ranged kind of tank that has a bit of a different, actually a lot different gameplay than the other two tanks in the game, then yeah, this is a really cool class to try out. First of all, it wears heavy, same as the warrior. Second of all, it doesn't have a power sword, but it has a big gun. It's really cool. It looks really cool, and tanking wise, I'm gonna start with that again. It's the tank that can generate the most amount of threat due to a couple, I would say two of their skills that are really, really powerful. So you're never going to have problems with threat in a dungeon, in a raid. Um, Other than that, not extremely sustainable. Um, I would say pretty much harder to play than the warrior as a tank because it has a bit of different mechanics, and in order to be sustainable at least as much as the warrior is. Um, Doubt it's ever going to be more sustainable an engineer, but if you want to be at least as sustainable as the other two tanks, then you kind of have to play perfectly, always be on the guard, always be on the lookout, always be managing your volatility, which in the engineer's case, it's his resource, his main resource. So yeah, I would say it requires more attention to play well, and it requires you to be more precise and to make fewer mistakes than a warrior can make. Um, Now, tanking wise again, it's not by any means squishy due to the heavy armor. It has lots of threat, lots of aggro, and it's really, really much wanted in end game content. Um, as for PvP tanking, I have seen some pretty good players playing an engineer PvP in tank spec. Uh, Pretty much impossible to kill, I would say, if you're geared enough, and yeah, really good for various situations in the PvP. 10v10, I mean. Other than that, Engineer has some cool functions as well. They are these robots. Let's see if they come on top of this roof or if they come under. They spawned under, so let's quickly gather them up here. These are just two of them. You have others, so pretty cool looking pets. You can. They also have the possibility to be microed from this button. So you have three options for them: attack, assist, and go to a location. Also, you can unsummon them as well. So yeah, not many macro options, micro options for the engineer, for the bots, but still pretty good to have. Tanking engineer, you won't be using them almost at all. As a DPS engineer, you will want to use them all the time because having them out present, they give you various things. For example, this little guy right here, basically, uh, it gives you an empower if you upgrade the skill to the first tire, which is tire 4, multi-hit severity by 5%. This is on the beta client, so yeah, it's pretty cool to have. Now, tanking wise, pretty straightforward. You are a ranged tank, but all the bosses are still gonna come to you in melee range. You have lots of utility. They have some really good utility skills. For example, they also have utility skills in assault that are really looked forward to in raids. This one, Bioshell, for example, if you tire it up to the max, it reduces all of the damage mitigation by 11% of your target. So that means literally 11% more damage. In utility skills, in support skills, sorry, they have another really good skill that reduces the target's armor by 20% for 3 seconds, and this skill has a 3-second channel and no cooldown. So really awesome utility skills. um, as a tank engineer, you don't have to take as many threat generating skills as a warrior, so that means you can bring more of these utility skills as well, which in turn makes you a better candidate to be the main tank, um, or to have a really safe spot in your pre-made uh, raiding team. Now, as of DPS, and also as of tanking engineer skills, they have a cast time. Most of the skills, I would say. uh, Now I'm in DPS spec now, and skills look really cool, and it's a really fun class to play. I love it when you activate your innate, you become like a badass version of Optimus Prime. So engineers have again two innates, one of them for tanking, one of them for DPSing. As a DPS, you can be pretty competitive. You're not gonna be top three, but you're right there next to them. Um, you can have various builds as a DPS. You can have an AoE build. You can have a single target build as well. So they are pretty competitive. But most of the engineers are wanted for their utility and of course for their tanking, because if you can have the same aggro as an engineer, then that means you are a god. I never met that player. So when the DPS can go full burst from the beginning, that means shorter fights, and that means the DPS cannot worry about taking aggro or stopping or using skills to reset the aggro or stuff like that. So really good candidates as main tanks. DPS wise, fun to play, pretty competitive. PvP wise, um, don't don't really see them in PvP that often. That's because not really many players play engineer in the first place. So I guess I can also say that it's one of the least played classes. Um, but when I do see them in PvP, I know that there are some pretty skilled PvP players. Most of the times I see them in tank spec. Actually, I wouldn't say most of the times. I would say 50-50, tank spec or DPS spec. I guess it's pretty fun to be in tank spec and to feel immortal. I guess it's nice to be in DPS spec. They have lots of utility, as I said. They have lots of slows, stuns, and yeah, overall they make your life a living nightmare. That's for PvP. Other than that, not the most survivable, as I said, out of the tanking classes again. Not in the top 3 DPS, but yeah, really fun to play if you're into this kind of a char, a ranged DPS, heavy armor, and cool robots. Then go ahead, play an engineer. I think it's really fun. As of mastering the class, I was saying previously about tanking wise, mastering to be a master engineer tank. uh, I think you need to know the game and to know when you can do certain things, and to be really really confident in yourself, so that you don't really necessarily have to look at everything that's going around you, but you kind of pay attention to your skill usage, your resource management, and so on. As a DPS, I played an engineer myself up to level 50, and I know that I had lots of fun as a DPS. I like really much the AoE build. I feel really powerful when I do it, unlike the warrior, which doesn't look as powerful. And the sun is shining in my eyes. Also, how hard it is to master being a DPS engineer. I would say I would position them somewhere in the middle. Bit harder than warriors to execute properly the rotation, and easier than, for example, a spell slinger. So yeah, that's the engineer class for you guys. I really hope to see more engineers, and I hope that you guys will enjoy the class. Lots of love again.